Welcome to Choppin It Up, a podcast powered by Journey, where we talk about freight, how people got to where they are, and their career journeys, pun intended. All right, let's chop it up. Hello and welcome to Choppin It Up by Journey. My name is Will Jenkins, CEO and founder of Journey, and today I'm joined by CJ Johnson, owner and founder of BWS Logistics. CJ, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Will.
Of course, man. So I think you're probably the most connected guy at any conference that I ever go to. I feel like that's probably where I met you first, man. So it's a pleasure to have someone like yourself here to sit down and chat a little bit.
Yeah. Well, again, pleasure to have you. And I would definitely say I'm a conference junkie for sure. I think Tim Osmolsky from Raymond might be the only one that's got me beat, but I'm catching up to him, hopefully.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, I appreciate you joining us. We'd love to start chopping it up out by asking for your fun fact before we get to know a little bit more about your background and what you've been doing as you've built your different businesses. But give us a fun fact.
A fun fact I would say that people don't know is I'm a big Disney guy.
How about that?
Yeah, that's probably something people don't typically would say if about CJ. I mean, CJ's a fun person, but not sure that they would say that I've been there many of times. I'm probably a big fan of even if it wasn't so creepy, I'd go by myself.
Fair. That's fair, man. That's really funny. Is there a particular park that you enjoy more?
Magic Kingdom, obviously being there, the staple. I love Orlando, obviously. I love Robin Hood, was a big fan growing up. I watched a lot of Earl Flynn, Robin Hood with my grandmother growing up. So on the TV, so it was kind of something that kind of transitioned into the Disney and stuff. So that was just always where we went on summer vacations as a kid.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, that's really cool to know, man. And we'll go ahead and dive in here. We love to start at the beginning of the story. So as far back as you want to go, I'd love to learn a little bit about what you were doing before, maybe when you're like a kid, professional, before you get into the professional world, stuff that you liked, and then we'll transition into how you got into freight. So give me the origin story.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Chicago. I'm 50 years old. The first 30, I lived in Chicago, went to grammar school, high school, and college, all in Chicago. The last 20 now, I've been in about 10 minutes suburb of Chicago, west of it. So Southside kid, grew up at Midway Airport. My dad was a Chicago police officer for 31 years. My mom was a secretary at Loyola Hospital.
Nice.
My brother owns a small little painting business. He's about 18 months younger than me. He still lives in the Chicagoland area. So just a kind of a Southwest side kid. It was Southside Charlie. They called me growing up. So, It was kind of my thing. I love Chicago. It's my favorite city in the country for sure. 6 months a year, I always say, June through November. It is. There might not be a better city in the world, June through November. It's those other 6 months that we probably drop out of the top 100.
Correct.
Not so good.
Yeah. Which area of the South Side are you from?
Archer and Narragansett. I don't know how familiar you are with stuff. Like I said, right by Kennedy High School.
Yeah.
I went to St. Daniel the Prophet. Then I went to De La Salle, and then I went to Loyola University of Chicago.
Nice, man. Chicago through and through.
For sure. For sure.
I love it. So what type of stuff did you like when you were a kid, man? I was a big sports guy. I played football in college, so I always liked sports and things of that nature. What were you into when you were a kid?
Yeah, I played baseball. That was my thing. I played a lot of different sports, but baseball was my thing. I played all the way through at Loyola College. So that was, I definitely my sports side of things. Things that I was into growing up, I would say baseball cards. I was kind of big into baseball cards. And then just kind of learning. I mean, I was always not the smartest guy, but I like to read different things, different topics and things like that. But so those are kind of some of the things I would say.
What was your first job as a kid?
My first job, wow, that's a good thing. So probably two, I would say two. It was, the first one was delivering pizza flyers Saturday mornings for Abby's Pizza. It's still a classic of the Southside pizza place. And we would get up Saturday mornings and they would pay us like $5. And we would, we hit probably 300 or 400 homes each. And you just walked, putting the flyer in the railings of the houses. that one. And then I worked at a Mexican taco stand that, man, I was getting paid $2 an hour cleaning pots and pans of refried beans. That was kind of where you learn how to like, wow, this is some tough work. This is not, I better, kind of work a little harder, maybe not do this for a career.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, it's good perspective, especially when you're younger. So that's solid. So tell me a little bit about let's go like post high school days. You said you went to Loyola.
Yep.
How was that?
It was great. So, I was, again, Southside family, blue collar, didn't really had one shot at going to school. My mom obviously she worked at a hospital, and I was able to go for free to Loyola. It was my only choice, so it was there or I'm not going to college. I would have went into the trades or possibly been a police or fireman. So I went to Loyola, got in, and was a biology major coming in to start one semester, and I realized, oh man, this medical is not going to be for me. What I thought was that I knew I was pretty smart.
Yeah.
It was biology and chemistry at the university kicked my butt. Let's just put it that way. So I needed to get into something that, what am I going to do? I was like, what I was really good at, always good at in college or in high school was math. I was in honors math and high levels. So I decided, okay, I'll major in math. And in the early 90s, math was like, all right, what do I do with that? Maybe just teach or actuary. So I'm like, well, let me piggyback something else. At the time, computers were just coming of age. Yeah. So I basically, my Bachelor of Science degree is in math and computer science. So, nice. But yeah, I was there at Loyola, like I said, that, really my formative years, I would say. I joined a fraternity that became very big in my life. I met a lot of friends at Loyola. I still go back to a lot of the events, whether it be alumni weekend. I was actually just recently asked to teach there this fall.
Oh, fun.
I can't do it. It was a global sourcing class, and I felt like I was not the best person for that they could do. But I believe in the next year or so, I will be doing some kind of like teaching at one class as, an entrepreneurial class or a business class or something. So. Yeah, awesome. It's been a great time, and we've had some fun with the Sister Jean and our basketball team the last couple of years. Yeah, not compared to when I was there. We weren't very good at basketball when I was there, I guess. So.
Sister Jean's a legend, man. We want to see Loyola pull through. It's important.
Yes, for sure.
That's awesome. So you studied. You said was it mathematics and computer science? Yeah. Yep. What was the first job you had post college?
Yeah, so graduated, and I was like, all right, what am I going to do? I did not want to teach at that time because I was like, financially, I'm not sure I'm going to get to where my goals were personally. Nothing. I respect teachers, and like I said, I want to get there someday, but I wanted to make more at the time. And I didn't want to sit behind a computer for it. I'm a people person. I like to talk to people, and that's who I am just personally. So I rolled into a sales job, basically selling vinyl siding and windows for Sears. So I basically worked 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, from like 6, 7 in the morning till about 9, 10 o'clock at night. I'd go to people's houses in the Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana. And for 3 hours, I'd sit there and talk about siding and present why the siding that we were selling was better than the next. And I had to learn how to close very quickly, because once you left that 3 hour timeline, you were not able to go back and resell them. So it was a hardcore learn your sales skills, learn your, I was listening to Zig Ziglar tapes and many books that I read. And it was, you had to go and close them, and learn very fast how to do that, basically. Different than transportation now, I would say, but it gave me that skill set to not be afraid to be able to ask the hard questions, I guess you'd say.
I also had a pretty tough sales job early on that taught me a lot about cold calling and building relationships and dealing with rejection. And I credit that to being where I am today 100%, because it helps you just really get used to what the real world is like, and stuff doesn't really always go your way. You got to get comfortable with that. So I want to peel back some layers there. Was it door knocking to find opportunities?
No, but you could do that. Absolutely. You could do that as well. Sears provided us usually with three leads a day. They give you a 3 hour, 3 hour window. We had a sales meeting in the morning. Then you went off. Everybody went off. And it was funny. I really, it was almost like Glenn Ross. Like, I'm not kidding you. there was like, the sales manager was, hardcore closing and like, this is what you got to do it. And then you had the old timers that were blaming the leads. We'd go out literally after our sales meeting, we'd go out to breakfast before we had like maybe an hour and a half before you went your first one. So you go to breakfast with the old timers, not with the manager. And they would just complain about the manager. They complain about the leads. It was always the leads. And I kind of was the newbie, but I was like coming in. I was like, all right, I don't want to be you guys in 40 years doing the same thing, complaining, not really making a living or making anything. So again, I learned how to do stuff where they would come in, they would write 10 minutes. They would come into a person's house. They wouldn't even do a presentation. They would just write a quote, give it to them, and then walk out the door. They prejudged people. And I was like, all right, that's not the process. They taught us this process. They gave us like their SOPs, let's say. And you know what? I followed those, and I became one of the top salesmen in the country for them because I followed the process. So I didn't judge anybody. I didn't care. I'm like, I'm here. This is my time. Yeah, could I be with my friends or could I be complaining like the rest of them? And I would sit there for that 3 hours and I would go through the presentation. And at the end, somehow it worked out. And I was pulling in like 2 out of 3, 2 out of 4 deals a day, basically. And these guys were like selling one a month. And it was just because I learned how to build empathy, build trust in a very short time, right? And I had a little personality, but it was hard. Our siding was probably 3 times more expensive than, the next siding person out there. But Sears had a name and had something they could trust, value, like the name came from something. So, it was just a fun time in my life for sure. And I would, I would probably could have, obviously Sears, I don't even think that division is still open. It was a special separate siding and window division. But, I said the only thing I didn't like about it, I said I was doing very well financially, very well as my career, but 6 days a week, you talk about life-work balance. It was not. It was some long days and grinds, right? I'm doing the process, but it was long. So, had to kind of move on from that.
What do you think is the most important thing you learned from that job?
Don't judge a book by its cover. I always say I talk to my millionaire friends like the same way I do to the homeless person in New Orleans. Like literally, I've sat down next to a homeless person in New Orleans and had a 2-hour conversation about life and how did they get there and what's going on. Because like I said, you just don't. And I'm the same way. I talk to everybody. I don't care. I don't like it when this person, tries to be, better than anybody else, right? I mean, look at you. You're somebody that's did it. You did it. I mean, we both done it. You've done it even higher than I have. And like, you're talking to me, right? And you talk to everybody too. You're a genuinely good human being. And that's what that job got me, was like really to start realizing, don't judge the book by its cover. I would say that was my life lesson for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, I appreciate it. It's also just a pleasure to be able to connect with really good people in the industry. And you never know what you're going to learn from other people. And similarly, when I was selling Cutco as an 18-year-old, they teach you the process. Start here, do the whole thing, start at the top, drop down. You never know what someone may be willing to buy. And there are so many scenarios in training where they say, hey, don't judge a book by its cover, right? You'd be surprised what some people are willing to pay for stuff. And so do the whole demo, talk to them as you normally would, have a good conversation. And so some of my best sales were conversations where I was like, I don't know if this person's going to buy. And like, boom, they buy at like $1,000, $2,000. So I'm like, this is crazy. You never know. So
you never know. Like literally, I remember being in a house, I want to say it was Kankakee or Moni, somewhere out south. And literally, I'm doing the sales presentation. The lady's loving it. She seemed to be so poor, had no money. She's living in this house that needed siding. Obviously, I'm going to sell it. She's got cockroaches jumping in the, all over the house. You could see them crawling on things. And literally, she got approved for a $35,000. She paid cash for it. It was the most ridiculous thing in the world. Again, all these other sales guys would have just judged it saying, here's the thing. And I'm walking out the door. And I took time for, like I said, that 3 hours sitting there with them and just getting to know them. And okay, let's see what happens, right? You never know.
Yeah, you never know, man. Okay, so how long did you do that job for?
6 months. 6 months I did it. And then, again, I was grinding. It was that time. And I'm like, all right, I need to, my girlfriend at the time is like, all right, well, what's going on here? I'm not seeing you. You're 22 years old. We're supposed to be in the best time of our lives. I'm like, all right, it was now my wife, actually. But still, it was like, hey, what's going on? And So I switched from there basically into a trucking company, an asset-based trucking company, and I took a huge pay cut, but it was the right thing. It was in the 90s. It was so much different than it is transportation selling now. Like, there was lunches and dinners and ball games and all the fun stuff that some of the stuff you can't do now, basically, for probably a lot of reasons. But it was just a different ball game. So it was fun doing that, experience that, and getting to know people, right? Because I would do that 3-hour close, and then I would never really see the people again, right? Unless something happened with the siding, when they installed it. But once that, it was not going to be something that was going to extend past that sale. Transportation was like, man, I've said, like, I've stood up in customers' weddings. I've been 2 pallbearers to my customers.
Oh my gosh.
That's kind of crazy. It's sad, but it's the truth of the relationship of our game, right? Like, we are in a totally different where people trust you, people get to know you, you get to know them, and you come to these great relationships. And that's what I was missing at that previous, and coming into trucking right off the bat, I just fell in love with it. It was just like, this is great. Every day is a new day. There's just new people, there's nobody that can't, I always say there's, until they do Beam Up Scotty, you need trucks and trains and planes and boats, right? I say that all the time, right?
Yeah,
so,
that's so fun.
So it's not going away, right?
It's not. So give me some stats on the style of company. You said it was an asset-based org, drive-in, refrigerated.
It was an asset drive-in. We ran LTLs. They had a brokerage as well. So it was, just selling anything from cartage to LTL line hauls into stuff to truckloads. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. How long were you with that org for? I
was there for a year. And then I moved over to Unishippers and I started selling downtown Chicago DHL. At the time, Unishippers, it's so different than it is now. I think there's 1 or 2 branches still open of Unishippers. Back then, it was every city was chopped up into 2 or 4 or whatever. And I worked for the north side of Chicago selling DHL. It was kind of a cool experience going, knocking door to door, instead of the truck docks, where you're going in the back door and it's all kind of like, oh, we're all slimy and I'm getting dirty and stuff in my, suit because we wore suits, man. I was able to go downtown to the office and learn a whole different perspective of things. So that was a great experience in my life, was that. And that actually led me to starting my first company, FlowTrans, because I was selling it. I went to a Unishippers, the convention in 1999 in Vegas. And my boss at the time took me and had a great time. And at that convention, the south side of Unishippers was coming up for sale. He owned the north side. The south side was very small and wasn't doing it. And I felt like, wow, I could do something here. So and my boss at the time I talked to, and we said, hey, it's up for $30,000. I'm like, I think I can do this. Like, I'm gonna go try to scrap together 15,000. Do you want to go and partners with me? And he said, yeah, I'll go and partners to you for this other thing. So we get lawyers to kind of go through some stuff. I go ask my grandmother, Florence, to go give me loan me $15,000 so I can do this because, I'm a kid at 22. I'm like, get to the final step. This was like March of 2020 or February 20, and he backs out. He goes, why am I going to be 50% owner of one when I can be 100% and still do selling more here? And at the time, I didn't understand, and then I kind of did understand, and now I kind of look like he was kind of goofy, and he missed a big boat here. But anyway, so I was crushed at that point. I was like, I can't go back. Yeah. I'm like, I didn't have another 15 to come in. So I went back to my trucking, people and friends that I built, and one of my customers, who's at the time, who wasn't a customer obviously for DHL, but said, hey, go figure out how to be a broker, go out, start your own business. And 2 months later, I went and I registered. I got my, my MC.
So let me ask a question. I want to make sure I'm tracking this right. So first, most importantly, FlowTrans is named after your grandmother.
Florence, yes.
This is incredible. Yes. I absolutely love that. So she has to be so incredibly proud of you, right? Like, that's just so cool.
Yeah, she was. We used it in the beginning as flight, land, and ocean, the 3 forms of transfer, but it is truly named after my grandmother, Florence, basically.
What a legacy.
Yeah, she's probably the most influential person in my life. She really formulated my early years, my middle years, and then up until her death, she was everything to me. Let's just put it
that warms my heart so much. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're all right. We'll do flow trends. You're like, I'm going to go 50-50 with the manager at the Unishippers.
Unishippers. Yeah. No, it wasn't going to be flow yet. It was going to be Unishippers. Yeah. So when he backed out, then I went out and started my own brokerage, and I just named it Flow Trans.
There it is.
I was 100% owner. Had one customer. I was shipping one load from Naperville, Illinois to Lisbon, Maine.
Incredible lane. Everybody wants to go to Lisbon, Maine. They can't wait.
But I was good at it. Well, I'm telling you, they shipped that weekly, and he started off giving me the one, and I was back then. It was good margins, right? I called like probably 300 carriers in New Hampshire, Vermont. I mean, the old school, you didn't have all the technology. It was, calling from a freaking phone book, like, just dialing and then creating a list. And because of my computer science, I felt like I was way advanced of a lot of trucking people at the time, because back then it was still T cards, and like you had fax machines, trucks were at truck stops, and it was such a hard. So I had this system where I was able to put a spreadsheet together kind of, and like, okay, here's 10 carriers I could call, and I could rapid fire call those guys to cover a load. So I was way ahead of the game, I felt like. And it was cool. It was just fun times. I worked about an hour a day, 5 days a week, and I was able to make what I was making working for Sears even before that. And before, so I did very well. And then it was like, all right, what can we do? Let's get some trucks. We can run some stuff and kind of start growing from it. So, and then, Flow's been around 25 years. And, since then I started 4 more other companies in the logistics space. And because of what I learned through those trials and tribulations of the first one, it's a lot of the other ones to be more successful at a lot faster pace.
Man, this is incredible. So I want to talk about the early days of Flow Trans, and then the scale, and then some of your other businesses as well. So give me like the early days, man. Who were some of the first couple people to believe in you, shippers, and also people that joined your team? I want to hear the fun stuff.
Yeah. So realistically, we started as a print hotshot. So we were doing a lot of like, hey, moving, inserts from, newspapers or magazines. And that was big money basically back then. It was like, hey, can you move something to California? It needs to be in Friday to Monday. And there wasn't people doing that like they are now, right? So we were really into there. And then and having 2 or 3 of those printers that were, doing the business. And then about a year and a half, 2 in, so about maybe around early 2002, I started to see the Chicago Sun-Times go from like 100 pages to like 20 pages. And I knew because of my computer experience in the 90s, like, man, this internet thing's going to be cool. Like, you're not going to have to write letters anymore at some point. It's going to be way ahead of things that nobody even sees yet, and I got to see things, and I was like, wow, this is really cool stuff. So we had a transition. And what are the 2 things that you go into that really are recession proof? I always call them, what are they? Pandemic proof. The 2 things that are there is food and liquor, right? Now, liquor needs a lot of permits. So you really got to know your stuff with liquor. And back in 2002, I didn't have any experience in that. So I keyed on food. So Flow really keyed on food back, a year and a half in its inception, and really started to go after the food product. And one of our biggest niches, and still to this day, that we handle is we do a lot of Middle Eastern, Indian food products, basically. We do a ton of food products, but we really specialize in that kind of sector of the space, which was just coming up, right? 15 or 20, 23 years ago, people were maybe having your sushis, maybe, but you weren't into your hummuses, and you're not into all that kind of really good Middle Eastern food, I would call it now today. So we kind of got into that, and we just grew that market space. We and it's had its ups and downs, obviously, through the home what's it called, the home recession, as you'd say, in 8 and 9. We grew from 2002 to 2008. We went up to about probably 30 trucks. And then we rescinded back down to realistically 2 trucks. It was crazy. In 2009, we had 2. And now we're back up to 12, basically, in that sector, running into the intermodal Chicago drayage scene and things like that. So it's gone through its crazy. And we brokered it. We keep brokerage. Now, since then, BWS has taken that over in the last 7-8 years. And now that's becoming the large brokerage side of all the entities. So it's been fun. It's been great getting to know everybody and seeing everybody and just feeling, a sense of pride, doing a great job with the customers. They trust you, you trust them. You've been, Yeah. So
That's awesome, man. So talk to me a little bit about the service offerings that are different between the two orgs. And then when you started BWS, just to get an idea of how you delineate maybe what business goes where or what you're attacking with which team.
Yeah, so Flow's main thing is realistically is drayage in the Chicagoland marketplace, triaxles. We have 25 our own triaxles, so we do a lot of overweight containers. That's really, there's a lot of drayage companies in Chicago. A lot of them won't mess with the overweights, right? Because they can't either, they don't have the equipment for them, or they don't have the experience, or maybe they don't have the right drivers just because they're running different kind of drivers than we run. We run all employee drivers. So owner operators typically don't want to mess with it, right? All mine are my trucks I own. There are W-2 drivers, right? So it's a different kind of setup in the typical drayage space, which is a lot of owner operators, right? BWS handles the brokerage. So pretty much anything that's going to be brokered, they handle anywhere in the country, anywhere pretty much in the world, but mostly I would say the country, Canada, Mexico. So that's where that goes. If it's something outside of that realm of the struggling space, that goes there. If it's warehousing, we try to stick in the BNC, which is our e-commerce, Walmart, Shopify, Amazon. That's in DeKalb, Illinois. And as well as I have friends around the country that we can put in other spaces as well. But typically we try to keep that in the BNC in DeKalb if we can. It runs, 142 DCs for Walmart weekly. And we're really good in it's food grade space. So we're a very high AIB qualified food grade warehouse in the Chicagoland marketplace. So
nice.
that's kind of how it breaks down.
That's awesome, man. A full service offering in terms of the different things you're able to do for customers, which you and I both know when you have a market as competitive as this, if you are a one trick pony, you're typically the first to go out to pasture. So it's tough to compete if you don't have many different service offerings.
Yes. And I've been, a little different. I never wanted to grow. I don't know. I was saying this. I don't think I'm the person who could do and get to 100 or 500 million. I don't think I might have my stomach. Like, that's why I give you kudos, and I give some of the other guys in your realm of things that I know in the Steams and the Arrives and all these guys who've done amazing things and growing that stuff. Man, you got to really have that moxie, I guess I should say. Like, I'm the chancellor of this, and that's maybe why I have 3 separate ones instead of one combined one, because, man, you start getting to that ballpark, you're playing a different game, right? Then you got to go to that customer, and you got to almost be able to handle every piece of their stuff for them, right? Where I'm like, hey, let me take this 15%. It's your most, let's say, hardest stuff, but it might be the most lucrative stuff.
Sure.
And let me mess with that. I can't compete with some of the big boys on some of those lanes, right?
Go ahead.
I
was just going to say, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? Like knowing what you do really well and being able to be competitive in that and really build your niche. And then it's more defensible because it's really specific. You mentioned it being maybe more challenging freight that others might not have the aptitude to go ahead and service. And it's harder to lose that business, right? So there's pros and cons to both ways to build the business. And I think that you've decided and found your lane, and man, I respect that a ton.
Yeah. And I have a hard problem. My personal opinion, even though I know debt is used in a good way to build business, like we don't have debt in the companies. Everything, Like I could retire tomorrow if I wanted to. It's people like, how do you have time to do this? I'm like, because I've built what I got. Should I build them more and bigger? Yeah, maybe. But I enjoy what I do every day, man. I love getting up every day, going to conference, seeing people like you and everybody else doing this fun stuff. And business comes. Like, it's just like it falls in your lap sometimes. Like, Craig Allen's right now, he's in Hobbs, New Mexico doing like weird, crazy, like nuclear power plant stuff. It's like, what are you doing in Hobbs? It's again, because stuff falls by just having conversations and people just like, man, CJ, you got some guys that know what they're doing. Rob Bussey in the trade show, he's one of the best in the business. There's nobody better than him if you trade.
Rob is the man. I love Rob.
He's the man. It doesn't get any better than him for a guy who knows what he's doing. So, it's our team of good players. The island of misfits. Maybe I'm Charlie in the box, as they used to say.
That's funny, man. So I want to talk about some of the more challenging pieces of entrepreneurship and doing what you've done. So I want to hear some stories about when things were not so breezy, man. Talk to me about when it was a little dark, because it always is at some point.
I think I would say that 8, 9, 10 was very wilder times. Like I would also say some of the customers we still have now are because of the things we went through together in those times. There was banks out there that were going to my customers and they were like, hey, you're going to be shut down, or pretty much they took all their money away from them. And these customers who would, let's say, were paying me in 15, 30 days, they really got out to 60 and 90 days. Like, that's how it became. It was like the 15 days moved to 30, the 30s moved to 60, the 60s moved to 90, and the 90s had to go. There was a few I was just like, all right, I can't cash flow that, right? Like, they didn't care. They're like, well, charge me, if you're charging me 20% markup, make it 30, and you take the juice and you be the bank and, kind of do that. They didn't care that, right? They wanted me to be a friend of them and to help them, and just we all survived together, kind of like, right? So I think that was it, where you roll up your sleeves together and figure things out, right? Everybody wants to just kind of run off. And it was dark times for all. Let's not kid it. It wasn't easy. It was long hours. It was letting go of some people. It was just running what you could run. And, it was wild times. Like I said, that I can't imagine it. I like going back during that again. That was, to me, some of the hardest of my life was that 8, 9, 10, because again, we went from a bigger up. Thank God we were in the middle, I would say. We weren't the small guy and we weren't the large guy. The large guys got killed. The small guys went out of business. We were kind of stuck in the middle. So we survived that and came out stronger from it. But it was not easy, downsizing to a smaller office and running a different kind of operation and just kind of holding on and going back to our partners that were running Lionel's into it. Like, hey, I know you're charging me $50 for a skid from New Jersey to the island of New York. I need you to be at $40. Like, that kind of stuff. Like, we all kind of pulled together, but it was definitely a dark time in that regards.
What do you think was the most important lesson as you persevered through those challenges? Because as you mentioned, there are a lot of organizations that didn't make it through that. And I wouldn't say that we're in the same economic conditions today, but they are not dissimilar from a market perspective. So a lot to be said about being able to battle through that.
Yeah, I think the lesson that I learned back then was don't be afraid to talk to people. Talk to them before things get out of hand. Like, go and say, hey, I remember a vendor, he's still a vendor of ours today. I went to him and say, hey, we have $75,000 in the books. I'm going to keep giving you business. I'm going to take this $75,000. We're going to age it out over a 12-month period. You're going to charge me juice, and I'm going to pay you $7,500 a month on top of whatever the normal you're going to get paid. And we just talked, right? And because what was the opposite? There was carriers that just go away, they disappear, and then next thing you know, or the broker goes away, disappears, and now people get stiffed, and you go into that. Well, like, in my mind, is just go and have those conversations. And same with customers. There's a problem going on. Don't just run from broker to broker to broker just because you're going to go and you need cash flow. And this guy will give me 50 grand, so I'll just take the business from that broker to this one, even though they're just using it from a cash. Like, have the conversations. Like, I think that's the life learned lesson. Like, no matter how bad it is, have it. Like, it again. I said, what's the worst thing that we're not moving hearts and lungs at this point, right? I always say, no one's dying here. So yes, it sucks. You got to put your head between your leg, maybe, and go and say, hey. And it's the same thing with, our team knows this. Like, stuff goes wrong in our industry, right? There are breakdowns, like real ones, not the fake turbo blowouts and all the other things that people lie about, because you can't cover it up now with all the tracking and, stuff that's out there, technology wise. Just be honest. Like, hey, this ain't going to happen. What do you want to do to fix it? Do I need to air freight something? Do I need to send a recovery truck? What's going on here? You know what I mean? And just be honest and have those conversations early more than late.
Yeah. There's a couple of things there that I want to pull a thread on, because I think entrepreneurship and business has taught me how to be a better communicator, good, bad, or ugly. Mm-hmm. And it's not always comfortable. But if you get ahead of it, most people are willing to have the conversation and be understanding as long as there's a plan. And it is always worse. Like, bad news doesn't get better with age. And so just run into it and be able to handle that thing as a big lesson. The other part about it is you're going to fail at times. There are things that will not work out as well as you may have anticipated. And as much as that sucks, like, you pick it up and keep moving. And so, man, I think about challenges I've been through, and in the moment, it felt like the worst thing in the world. 20 years goes by, perspective is a lot, you know? Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Keeping that head up, and it's crazy. The other thing I've gotten really good at is hire people smarter than you, hire people and don't mind paying them. You know what I mean? I remember 25 years, I was like, oh my God, I can never hire somebody that's going to make more than me. I'm the best sales guy in the world. Like, no way. And it took me probably a good 12 years of the flow journey before I think I hired my first person that ever made more than me at that time. Now I have too many that, which is great. I'm glad more people make more money than me. That's the way it should be, right? But like, you know, it's scary as a startup entrepreneur of having somebody come in and be like, wow, I'm hiring this vice president, or I'm hiring this CFO, or I'm hiring this sales guy or girl that makes this much. Like, oh, I can't do that. No, like I'm going to, start somewhere else. So I don't know. I feel it's important to get higher quality basically, right? So, and quality sometimes costs more than quantity.
It always does, man. I was having a conversation with our team earlier, and on the recruiting side of our business, we are always quality over quantity. I'd rather put a smaller subset of really talented people in front of a client than flood them with ones that we may not be sure can produce. And you mentioned it there a moment ago, right? I'd rather pay for that person that I know is going to be able to execute. And I'm sure your business has grown exponentially as a result of having better, more capable people.
100%. 100%. And again, it took me, and I guess it took me evolving, right? As an owner, sometimes I tell this to other owners. They can be like, the people that get you from A to B are not going to be the ones that get you from C, D, E, and then MNOP, right? Like they're going to be different people, and you're going to have to evolve with them, right? And change. That's why I was telling you, like earlier, like, I don't think I'm the stomach guy to have the company that's 500 million, because I'm not. I can be a part of it, but I don't want to be, because again, you're at a different level of risk and reward, right? Like it's different. I'm happy. I'm comfortable. I do very well for myself, but that's just who I am. Now, again, there are plenty of people, that they want to be at 1 billion, right? Everyone's like, they want to get to that next crazy, high level. And that's awesome. And I give you guys all mad props for that.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways to play the game, but one of the things that you mentioned I think is important is that you're happy, right? Like you feel good about what you've done and you enjoy your life, and you go back and look at it, man. You might do a bunch of stuff because it looks good on the outside, but if you don't enjoy what you're doing, man, you're wasting your time.
For sure.
Yeah. So as we get ready to wrap up here, man, I always like to get a feel for any advice specifically right now in the market conditions that you would give to other businesses as they battle what's going on, right? It's really tough from a margin compression perspective. It's challenging to add net new customers. People are still adding new customers, but man, is it just a battle out there. You've been through it. You've been doing this for a long time, man. Any suggestions?
I would say, again, going back to, talk to everybody. I tell my sales team, I tell my marketing team, I tell anybody, I tell my kids, like, you never know who that person you're talking to. So I don't care if you're at Christmas dinner with your cousin that you didn't even know what they did. I don't care if you're at the park watching your kids play a sporting event. I don't care if you're at a baseball game, basketball game. If you're just walking the dog, say hello to everybody. Because you never know who you're talking to and what they have. It's crazy. It's just talk. Like I said, that is the biggest thing. Don't be afraid to talk. That's the first thing. And the second thing is talk and make a relationship first. The one thing I've seen so much and so bad in our industry, and I don't know how to correct it, I've thought about it and trying to figure out how we do this, is we have so many people that just come in and be like, well, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this better. I can do this. I can take that from you. And it's like, man, get to know these people first. Make a friendship. Make a relationship. Figure out what they do. And then, like, only if you see something you can help them with, do you give them maybe some advice on it. Why are you going to sell them on, let's say Pepsi loads from Chicago to Indianapolis when CH is doing them and for $1 or $10 on the pop? Why am I going to go help them on that? I can't, I don't want to compete with that. Let me go help them on the stuff they got over here where they're running inbound freight and they're getting killed by their supplier because it's going from one place to another, or instead of, going directly here and saving them money. Like, it's insane but people just do it. They come in like, oh, CJ, we can handle all your freight, or we can do this. And I'm like, no, you can't. Like, you don't even know, right? Like, no, you can't. Like, so get to know people first, get to make a relationship. And I know we put our salespeople at such a pressure of like making that sale. It's getting harder and harder though. I really believe we're at a turning point, especially with all this AI stuff. I mean, we're doing some creepy stuff, and I know the big boys are even doing more creepy stuff with the AI. Like, I think relationships are going to matter more than ever over the next 10 years.
Yeah.
We're all going to have these robots talking to all the robots, and it's going to be whose robot am I going to give the robot to? Because they're all the same robots or the same thing. So am I going to give it to Will's people, my people, or some person calling up on the thing? Like, you better have that relationships. So go start now so that 10 years from now you have people.
I think that's great advice to end on, man. There's so much to be said about going out and building genuine relationships. You never know how stuff plays out. I think the best ones come when there's no expectation. You get to know good people. Maybe you make some connections. You put them in the right places with some people that they want to meet. And years down the line, I think about that in our business, man. A lot of our current customers are people that I came up in the industry with. And we just spent time together as, young guns in the space. And now we're building businesses together. It's more fun that way. So
I would assume some of your customers now are probably your old competitors. But
so many. They're every single one.
You were such a good human being to them that you treated them like with almost as a true friendship. Even though it's fun, competitive. We're on a baseball field, you're on a football field. Hey, you're going to want to knock me out. I'm going to knock you out. We get off, we shake hands, drink beers, do our fun stuff. But so that's what I'm saying. Like, be friends. Like, we don't know. Like, so kudos for that.
I was in the boardroom with our team with one of our largest clients, and they are a massive player in the space. And I just had to pause around, looking around. I'm like, I cannot believe I'm in this publicly traded company's board. This is great. Like 4 years ago, I'd be like, we got to beat you, right? Like but it's just, that's the fun aspect of it, because you want to see those people succeed. And that's the beauty of our industry, right? Small, but big. It's a lot of fun.
Make the world a better place. And that's what you've always done. That's the way I believe my life. So,
dude, same, man. It's always a pleasure to spend some time with you. Before we wrap here, any books that you're reading currently, or any favorite books? I got to pick up something new.
Yeah. Well, obviously my favorite on the I guess business side would be Extreme Leadership by Jack Life. I mean, to me, that's the book of all books at this point, like in my mind, unless you start getting like Sun Tzu. But but on my personal favorite on the non, let's say, business side is Pete Rose. There it is, baby.
Extreme Ownership. It's a killer book, man.
Oh my God. Good. No, like at least once a year I listen to that, especially when he talks about the leader coming from in the Hell Week, where they take him from the worst boat and they switch to just the leaders, and he becomes like, that is all hits home so hard, right? It just hits home so hard. So. Yeah. But on a side one outside of it, it's the P. Rose, My Prison Without Bars. It's by Rick Hill. I actually brought it here. It's P. Rose, My Prison Without Bars. It's a really good, again, he's my baseball player. I wore 14. I was called Charlie Hustle growing up, because I ran walks, first base, I sprinted. I had more, for being a bigger guy, I had a lot of stolen bases that were surprising because people didn't count. They just didn't think of it. But I would have that timing down and go. And so that's a good book I would recommend, especially because I like historical, and it's obviously, he's going to get in the Hall of Fame. It's sad now that he's dead now, but he will get in the Hall of Fame. I do believe it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, CJ, congrats on what you've built, and I've learned a lot from you. It's amazing to see you continue to build. Thank you for spending some time with us today on Choppin' It Up.
Thank you, brother. Enjoyed chopping it up with you.
Yes, sir.